Fry the Fuzz. So Michael,
it is.
Take it over.
Right. In studio with us today is Elgin's Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we've got a guest here that we'll bring in just a moment. But first, it's been a busy week, and kind of wanted to start with Tuesday, if you would. You had the paver project. It's at Police Memorial Month Week.
Police Memorial Week.
Yeah. Okay. And I know May is like there's a month. The month-long dedication, isn't there also?
It's usually just the
law
week.
Enforcement.
There's a lot of different things going on, and then John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, designated the week that May 15th falls in as actually Police Memorial Week. So there's the national one. The state had one at Springfield last week. So yeah, there's a lot of different things going on throughout the month.
You had a fairly good turnout, a couple hundred people or so out at in front of the police station on Tuesday, and maybe just kind of talk about that a little bit and some of the statistics behind it as well, because it's kind of alarming, really, when you look at the numbers, right?
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, what we were doing was just remembering the 117 police officers that were killed in the line of duty in 2014, and 42 more that had been killed in the line of duty since the beginning of 2015.
And that may have even not included, I don't know, over the weekend too, right? There was another incident.
Mississippi, the two officers. Yeah, that included. Yeah,
did it? Okay.
Yes, we did that on Tuesday, and so it is alarming, and so it's important. I said during my comments, and I know Councilman Gavin also mentioned it in his comments, and it's basically just it's a time where we just always need to remember that there are people out there who work 24/7 who work hard to keep the community safe, and unfortunately every year some give their lives or actually have their lives taken in performance of that duty. So it's always a nice time that we have as far as getting some retired officers, community members. Our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, always just a huge supporter of the police department, and city officials there, fire department's always there. So it's just a great turnout. And so this year was made even a little more special because we have a paver project where we're remembering officers and civilians and community members who volunteer at the police department, because it takes all of us. And it's not just about the sworn officers. There's civilian members of the Elgin Police Department who do great work and are a big part of why we're successful. And there's also volunteers. We wouldn't be successful without the volunteers we have. So we opened up this project to people, any of them. And so I think we had 180 or I don't know, I'm not sure what the exact number, but people who got different bricks, and they were able to purchase a brick, and it's installed in the front of the police station on the walkway leading into the police station. And then they also get one brick that they're able to take home with them as well. So they put in their garden, or if they want to have, wherever they want to keep a brick around that just has their dates of service. And so it made it even more special doing that. And so we had a very large turnout, probably the most retired officers we've had in that police department probably ever. And so there were a lot there. We had a big ribbon cutting for it, and so it was nice. And this one was Bill Wolf and Christy Schmidt really taking on this project. The year before, we had the dedication of our training room to the Officer Fromm training room, which was the only officer that we know of that was killed in line of duty. And so that was last year. The year before, we've done some things with our museum. So each year we try to do something to kind of make it a little bit more of a draw. But great ceremony, great time, and thank everyone for coming out. It was cold, and we know we had a few people call and saying they can't come because it was just going to be too cold. And it was chilly, but many people braved it, so we really appreciate it.
I thought it was kind of interesting, and I was curious if it was planned, but evidently Deputy Chief Wolf, according to the story, kind of took a survey of the crowd and just kind of pulled the retired officer out to do the ceremony of cutting the ribbon leading to the sidewalk. And it was Officer Al Grantham, a retired officer who retired in 1989, actually a sergeant, pardon me, who'd been on the force for 30 years prior to that. So was that something that was kind of planned out and you noticed him, or was it just kind of, hey, you, come up here?
No, everybody that was a part of it was able to come up and kind of stand by their brick. And what we try to do is a very informal, and Bill had it planned, but a very informal, who's in the crowd, who's the most senior officer, retired officer that we could bring up. And so we identified him. There were a few, though. There was Officer Lawrence, who's the father of Brian Lawrence, was also there. So I know it was close. I'm not sure if we got it exactly right, but it was a long ceremony already, and we wanted to do it. But it's right around we had a few from that era. In fact, one of the neat stories is we had someone who was there that was standing on her father's brick, and her father served from 1920 to 1950.
Cool.
And so he was there, she was there, and he had the foot beat in downtown Elgin from the 20s to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I thought, man, I bet he saw
some
a lot.
stories there.
Yeah, exactly. I want to look back at some of the video footage of downtown, but there wasn't any. So from 20 to 50,
right.
a little bit different than it is today.
Some photographic evidence out
There is some photos out there in our museum. So stop down and see our museum. So yeah, great event for obviously a somber occasion, but something that's important to do to recognize. So it was a very, very nice event. So thanks all that came out.
Busy Wednesday as well then, and following up on Tuesday, you had a couple different, what's the best way to term it, symposiums, meetings.
Sure.
You had the one out in the ECC, and you also had one at Second Baptist Church.
Yes. Yeah, on Wednesday, it was a kind of a noon to 5 type event put on by the State's Attorney's Office. Joe McMahon, his office put it on, but the FBI was there, members from the Department of Justice, myself, the Chief of Aurora, Greg Thomas, Chief Cecil Smith, our retired Deputy Chief.
I don't know, because, I mean, he kind of got thrown right into that down in Sanford when he went down there, so...
He did. So he's had his first-time knowledge, and then even since then, he has been a part of working with the Department of Justice, going to some of these other places. So he's been to Ferguson, he's been to Cleveland, he was going someplace else. So very well-traveled, getting in the middle of all of these things and really making a difference on a national scale. So really proud of Cecil. And then he even showed up when we had the symposium then, or we're calling it the Community Dialogue, that night at Second Baptist. Had a nice turnout again. A lot of officers, we had officers that have been on only 4 or 5 months, and officers have been on 25 years. And just again, another community conversation. And all of these things that we're doing, what I like is, some people are trying to gear up now, and if there's issues happening, we got to do this. We've been doing this, as long as
that was
we've
my
been here.
point too, right? I mean, you guys have been doing this for years now, really. I mean, the community walk and talks and coffee with a cop. I know it's a little bit newer, but you were kind of doing it informally before anyway, and then. Now there's got to be a lot of this going on in other communities where, hey, we've got to do something. We're doing this, and you guys are like, hey, here's the framework for it. If you want to, if you want to talk to us about it, we've been doing this for a while.
We have, and it's one of those things. It's we call it, trust is a big issue, and it's like in any relationship that you have, whether there's trust or no trust, it's built over time, and it's not going to be just something you say, okay, trust me now, and so. It's not something we can just put together, have a community dialogue, and say, okay, now we trust each other, right? Because this is going on. So it's an ongoing effort. And one of the points I made at the ECC event was just that community policing isn't something we say a lot in Elgin because it's just how we do our job. It's not about a group doing it or one area of the police department. It's from me down to the newest officers that we have. It's expected that you should be involved in the community, working with the neighbors, identifying problems, prioritizing those problems, and then helping solve them. But the community plays a part in it as well. It's not the police swooping in and solving the problem. So it's all of us together, and it's something we're doing. And our guest that we have, Rob Hartman here, has been doing it since day one as well, as far as being a resident officer. And so it's
one of my favorite programs. By the way.
It is.
It's
everybody's. It's one of everybody's favorite program because it's to the heart of what policing should be. You're out there. You're meeting with the residents. You're a part of the community, and it's really the only way we're going to be successful. So it's been a busy week, and I know Rob's going to talk about Saturday. We got another event at a church in his neighborhood. But I love these events. I get motivated every time we go to them. And the cool thing is about it, I think when you admit that you're human and your department's made up of other human beings, that everyone recognizes that you can get better. And so I always say that hey, if we're falling short someplace, help us identify where, and let's go. I don't get defensive when people say, you're doing this or you should be doing that. It's okay, let's talk about it, let's go. And so when you just don't have that defensiveness and you recognize that you're an organization made up of humans, and humans hopefully can improve over time by listening and learning, it makes it very easy to run a police department because we hire great people. We have unbelievable supervisors. My command staff is just fantastic. So throughout the entire organization, it makes it easy to go to these events because we are doing it right. And in places where we're not doing it right and we fell short, well, okay, we'll address it and we'll move forward. And but I think that's a big part of the resident officer program as well. We've had successes in the program. We've had some failures in the program with neighborhoods not improving as much. But you know what? We're trying. And I think the people who take time out of their busy days to come and help us get better. Because it's real easy for people to sit on Facebook or go on media shows and rip on the police or say, espouse their beliefs of whatever they want it to be. And it's a whole nother type of person that says, I'm going to show up and give my own time to identify and help them get better. And I've got a lot of respect for people who do that.
Be part of the solution.
Exactly. It's easy to sit back and complain. And I would say from the cheap seats, the view's great. You can critique how the players are playing. It's another thing to be down there on the field and actually have a part in it. And so that's what I love being a part of it. I love that we brought back Deputy Chief Smith to be a part of it. We have officers from all levels of the organization. And Rob's a big part of helping us with the community engagement as well.
Speaking of on the field, right?
Yes.
Officer Rob Hartman, thank you for joining us.
So thank you for having me.
And big day today for you as well.
Yeah, big day. 3:00 today at the center there.
You posted it up there, right?
What?
On social media, Officer
Promotion.
Hartman. Yes. Promotion.
Yes. Oh, you didn't want to give it
I didn't know. I didn't know if it was common.
No, thank you for clarifying. But no, Rob is being promoted to sergeant because we're having Gary Neal retire. We know Officer Echeverria is becoming sergeant, and Phil Danner, one of our longtime sergeants as well, is retiring. And so Rob is being promoted 3:00 today at the Heritage Ballroom.
Yeah, Phil, great guy. Big shoes to fill there, definitely.
Well, congratulations on your promotion. Almost, right? And,
Almost, yeah.
you gotta get to 3 o'clock at least.
And then after the speeches, it might be 6 o'clock tonight because we're really trying to keep everyone there. That is really our goal right now.
You're in the field. Yeah. What section of town are you in right now with Rue?
I'm in the near west side, so my residence is on
You've got a
Union
great
Street.
organization as well, don't they? Very involved.
Yes, the Near West Neighborhood Association. Our president is Jen Fukala, so she's doing a great job there of making some improvements in the neighborhood, working with us. Last meeting we had close to about 35 people that showed up for our meeting. So it's really grown. It's come back to where it was when I first became the resident officer in the neighborhood in 1997. I believe it was. I think our first meeting was March 2nd or so, 1997, and we had like 60 people in the church then because I was just starting out and everything. Right. We were having shootings and whatnot all the time, and homicides. I think Elgin was having like 20 homicides or something a year at that time. So you had a lot of activity and involvement, and now we're still there, but now that it's got more of a positive tone. I think as we've been doing community policing or so. At least for me, for the last 19 years, it seems that when people are there at the meetings, they know that we care. It's not a negative meeting. It's always a positive. Okay, what can we do to help versus what are you guys doing? So
with a lot of the activity that's been going on in other cities and things like that, are you hearing things as well from people? Like, not unrest necessarily, but concerns. About those communities or any ideas that they sometimes throw out, like, I don't understand why this, that city doesn't do this, or, how did it get to that point? Are people asking a lot of questions? Are there?
You hear that from time to time, especially as you go to the different meetings and meet with different groups or so. But my focus is always still straight on Elgin, because speaking about another department and what they're doing or not
always
doing,
tough. You're not there.
You're not there, so it's exactly it. How am I supposed to speak on that? I can just speak on Elgin, and I know what we're doing here in Elgin, and we have great officers here in Elgin who are out there right now keeping us safe and allowing us with this opportunity. When we have an issue, we go and we hit it head on, and we're transparent, and we're out there, working with the public, and I think they know that, and that's what. I don't even look at it as neighbors or so. They're more friends.
Right.
These are people that we're working with, and I'm living with, in order to try to improve the city. And
have you been in the same neighborhood since '97?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah.
No, I did 5 years, and then I've come back now for 4 years. So it's been 9 years of my career as a resident officer, and as a resident officer of the Near West neighborhood. So I've grown with the neighborhood. I was there as a single man, and now I'm there with a family. My kids are going to school there. You're part of the neighborhood. I don't look at it as a position. It's just this is where I live, and this is where my kids learn to walk and talk there in that neighborhood, and I'm proud, especially I have Janelle, Robert, and Roddy, and just thinking about now that they spent their life in the same neighborhood that I've given so much of my career to. So I'm really proud of that.
It's awesome. You've got an event on Saturday that you're going to be a part of. Can you talk about that one?
Yes, so we've been working with Pastor Maddie Matthews and Sydney Thurman from Philadelphia Philadelphia Holiness Full Gospel Baptist Church.
Nailed it.
Thank you. At 76 South Jackson, and at 1 o'clock on Saturday, we'll be having kind of a panel discussion, looking for anyone who wants to come out and find out some information about the police, and about also about how to deal with the police or anything like that if they come in any contact with us, and just try to get that information out. They've been promoting it and setting it up, and I'm just helping facilitate.
You're just gonna be there.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
There you go.
Chief will be there too, so it's always going to be a good time.
There's a big cookout today as well, right?
There is. Our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association is having their annual cookout for the officers today. So they're coming in. They set up the sally port that we have, and all the officers are able to come in and have lunch that they prepare for us. So again, I mean, they're just such a part of the police department, and they just do so much great work. Can't thank them enough.
Do you, curiously, I don't know how Elgin's thought of nationally, any calls ever received from other departments? Is there things that kind of get out to other areas where they say, hey, can you give us an idea of how you're doing it there? I mean, I know you're part of a National Chiefs Association as well. Mm-hmm. Any input ever into any of the other communities? Even maybe not the ones that are making the news now, but others that might kind of foresee that they have issues as well.
Yeah, I think I belong to a few different groups, and Chiefs of Large Illinois Cities is one. It's a click meeting, and we routinely email, what is this, what are you doing about this? And so we've had people ask us as far as how do we handle these types of things, but at the same time there are things we can improve on, and I'll routinely ask other places. In fact, I brought it up at the symposium. One of the things we got the idea from Aurora was they were letting their cadets, that we call explorers, test for the police officer job. Now theirs is a little bit different, but it's kind of like just looking around, and so it's kind of a long answer to your short question. Yes, people do contact us for how we're doing certain things, but we also reach out to other places. And national exposure that we've gotten, Commander Lally put in the investigations unit with, it wasn't just the investigation unit, the entire police department for the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And remember, that was the how we are investigating crimes in Elgin, and how we have this holistic approach from the community all the way through to officers, detectives, technology, following up on cold cases, having things with career offenders, all of that. And we put that in. She put a nice job putting that into a package, and it got recognized. I think there were 100 and something nominations from around the world, not just. I mean, there was Australia. I mean, there were nominations from everywhere, and Elgin got second place. First runner-up. And so we do. I mean, I think when we put our department and the things we're doing against any department. Now, some do a lot more because they're the size of their department, but you look at a police department of 180 officers, 110,000 people in the community, the things we're doing with not just with technology, but just the day in, day out work and the communication that's going on. Our Facebook page, Christy just did a presentation at a national conference about what we're doing with social media. And so, I mean, it's fantastic, and the credit goes to the officers and the supervisors who are doing the job. I mean, they do a fantastic job. My goal is to create an environment where people feel that they can try new ideas, and if they fail, that's okay. But always try new ideas, come up with another idea, and we kind of celebrate that. And so when you have that happen, we just get great results from the officers. Christy doing all these things on Facebook, Rob, what he does in his neighborhood meeting. I mean, it really is a top-down approach, and people should be very proud of the work the Elgin Police Department's doing. And come on out and help us continue to get even better.
Today, nice wrap up.
Today at 3 o'clock, the Heritage Ballroom. Great ceremony going to happen. Losing 2 fantastic sergeants, but we're getting 2 awesome ones as well. So. I've been made fun of before for calling it the circle of life of the police department. Some leave, others come in. We'll all hold the spot for a little bit.
What are you, the Lion King? Come on. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You want to sing that? It is a radio show.
Rob,
any closing thoughts from you?
I really wanted to hear you sing.
I know.
He has a talent. If you've ever seen him play basketball, no defense, but all no defense, just great
defense. Like the Bulls. Right? I know. Second string of the Cavs just destroyed the Bulls. Come on. By the way, Steve Thorne's ready to kick us out. He brought his canine with him. Well, good.
So neighborhood cleanup as well on Sunday, real quick. Want to touch on?
Yes, 2 o'clock meeting at 302 West Chicago. We'll be patrolling through the neighborhood, picking up garbage is what we'll be doing on Sunday. It's the fourth time that we've done it. We had a rough winter, so we're expecting that there's going to probably be some trash, but we've continuously reduced the amount of trash bags that we've had to bring and have picked up the next day every year that we've done it. So we're hoping still to build on that, but who knows? We're optimistic.
All right, good. Congratulations again, and
Thank
3
you.
o'clock at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Three,
All right.
3 until 10 o'clock.
3 until 10.
3 until 10 o'clock.
If they cut you short. Right.
We're it's a big day, so we should be able to speak. So.
Can't put a time limit on
That's
that.
right.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. Chief Swoboda and Sergeant Rob Hartman. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We'll go with it. Have a good one.
Thanks.
You're listening to AM 1410 WRMN.
And Elgin.